My name's Michael Winter. I'm a professor at Exeter University, been there for 25 years, studying agriculture and the environment and land use as a social scientist. And I'm really delighted to be the chair of a task force in Access that is looking at the role of social science in nature recovery. The task force is there to say, what can social science contribute to this agenda? Because you might think when you hear the terms nature recovery, it's all about ecology. Well, of course, fundamentally it is about ecology and getting the ecological principles right and getting the management right. But none of it happens without people. So we have to understand the motivations of people and why people may or may not do certain things in order to make nature recovery work.
I think the value of this task force in particular is really important. I think social science often gets either ignored or it's often an add-on towards the end of a lot of research, a lot of policy initiatives, whereas actually most of the issues we're trying to address, if we're talking about reversing or even just halting biodiversity decline, that's a social science question. We need the environmental science to be sure, but we need to understand about people's behaviour, the way in which structures in the economy and society might influence patterns of behaviour, might put barriers in the way of change. So we need to bring social science in right at the very beginning.
What we have been looking at is different aspects of nature recovery and what social science can bring to the table on those. Because without that, we will just make mistakes. Take land management, for instance. It's really all about working with farmers and landowners because they're the people who manage the land where nature recovery programs take place. And it's partly getting the right incentives for them, but it's also finding out what knowledge they have, what they bring to the party so that we can work together. Well, we're standing here on this lovely June day in the Lower Otter and looking out behind me are the mud flats. The tide is out. This is an amazing project because these were fields not long ago. And the vision came that from Clinton Devon Estate and the Environment Agency and various others that the sea should be allowed back in. It would be good for climate change, it'd be good for flood control and brilliant for wildlife and nature recovery. And social science was at the heart of that from the very beginning because this was big landscape change in a populated area. Not everybody got it, not everybody initially wanted it to happen. So there was a lot of work by social scientists consulting the community, trying to find out what the concerns were and working with the local community to make it happen. And I think it's probably fair to say that most people were won round. And now, you've got wildlife, you've got birds, you've got just a beautiful area.
I think often people don't realise what social science can do. It's discussed as if social science is a single thing, which clearly it isn't. Often people don't understand the value of qualitative social science, particularly dealing with policymakers. They want numbers on things, whereas actually qualitative social science can provide really rich insight. So working in a task force like this over an extended period of time, bringing in a number of experts from academia and outside of academia coming together, exploring these issues in depth, I think is really, really valuable.
So I've been involved through the Natural Environment Social Research Network from the outset. I've been leading one of the case studies on how we can use qualitative insights into some of the quantitative metrics that we use in the Global Biodiversity Framework for mainstreaming biodiversity, because this area of the framework tends to deal with what motivates us to care and act for nature.
I am involved in this task force looking at the social and historical construction of nature agencies. This task force is absolutely essential to finding out and exploring the many ways in which social science, social knowledge, social evidences are already impacting the mission of nature restoration.
My involvement in the task force has been to co-deliver one of the case studies alongside colleagues from within Forest Research and Natural England, and it's been really interesting to get to meet people that are working actively on species reintroductions and translocations and getting their thoughts on what the role of social sciences is and could be within that task force.
I think having the opportunity and the time to step back and look at different case studies, which is not really something we have usually in our day-to-day roles, has been really, really useful. So I've really enjoyed being in the task force, and it's been a very valuable investment of my time. I think it's going to be really, really useful in my role to really help us kind of shift attitudes to social science, the understanding of social science.
I think we've listened really constructively to each other, and also in terms of the feedback from the research that we've been doing. And so I think, again, that open, honest, sort of transparent communication, that dialogue has led to, a much more, I suppose, hopefully meaningful product in terms of the overall report that we've developed. And it has felt like a collaborative effort.
One of the great things about the task force is that it's comprised not only of academics but also of representatives from the conservation agencies of the UK. So we can really talk practice and policy as well as academic analysis and work together across the nations and across that sort of what is sometimes a bit of a barrier between academia and practice. So it's been brilliant bringing those people together.